on the news. New York City's mayor with a new plan to combat homelessness, why it's being met with some resistance. The Pope accepts the resignation of a beloved auxiliary bishop from the Diocese of Brooklyn. But the good news, he says he'll still be around. Russia ramping up attacks in parts of Ukraine where it announced it would be de-escalating military actions. Plus,
they'll make you do stuff that you think is really hard, but they'll make you do it.
A teen seriously injured in a devastating storm makes a miraculous recovery. How he made it happen. I'm Christine Persichetti. Currents News starts right now. It's a new plan to fight New York City's homelessness crisis. Teams of police, sanitation, and outreach workers fanning out across the 5 boroughs to clean up hundreds of homeless encampments, getting the city's most vulnerable out of danger and into safe havens.
This is dignity. This is how we treat fellow New Yorkers.
500 hypodermic needles found in a homeless encampment. It's something Mayor Eric Adams wants to clean up by removing the encampments completely.
We're not throwing people off the street. Let's be clear here. You have a right to sleep on the street. You don't have the right to build a miniature house.
So a new task force has been hitting the streets, and so far it's dismantled nearly 250 of these sites, trying to get the most vulnerable New Yorkers into shelters. But not just any shelter, a safe haven, which offers not only a warm bed, but also toiletries, a locker, food, and access to a healthcare center on site. But convincing the homeless to go there isn't easy.
There's a lack of trust.
And it's a big job. According to the Coalition for the Homeless, roughly 48,400 homeless people rely on city shelters each night. That's significantly higher than the city's official count, which last winter estimated the Big Apple's homeless population at just 2,300 people. Altogether, the coalition says over 10,000 families and nearly 19,000 individual adults sleep in the city's main shelter system every night. So far, no families have been found in these encampments, some of which are underground. And now, as New Yorkers start to return to the office, many are back in the subways.
It's basically become, the world's largest mobile homeless rescue operation.
And not everyone feels safe.
Seeing homeless more than ever. Inside the train is very dangerous.
In the end, the city hoping this initiative will be a win-win for everyone.
We must ensure that our public spaces are safe, that they are accessible to all, and that everyone in need of a suitable place to stay has access to one.
After the first 7 days of clearing the encampments, only about 5 people agreed to go to a safe haven shelter. The mayor says he's confident that number will go up once the workers gain the trust of the homeless. Also tonight, Pope Francis has accepted the resignation of Brooklyn Auxiliary Bishop Paul Sanchez. As required by canon law, Bishop Sanchez submitted his resignation in November of 2021 on his 75th birthday. The Brooklyn native was ordained a priest in 1971 and has served as an auxiliary bishop since 2012. In a statement, the Bishop of Brooklyn, Robert Brennan, said the community of Brooklyn and Queens is better because of his ministry. We caught up with Bishop Sanchez, who says serving the church for more than half a century has been his dream.
Truly, it's been a wonderful experience of happiness, and really because of the ability, the opportunity to be present to people, to continue to be part of their life. You're able to interact with people, experience their faith, draw on their faith, and try to be an instrument of sustaining their faith as well. So it's thanks be to God that God has given me the strength to be able to do that.
Bishop Sanchez went on to say he has a few things he wants to do now that he's, quote, retired. He wants to read more, travel more, and he plans to attend his seminary class reunion come May. But don't worry, Bishop Sanchez isn't going anywhere. He's going to remain pastor of Our Lady Queen of Martyrs in Queens for the time being. That's been his home since 2012. The Forest Hills Parish is just one of the many parishes Bishop Sanchez has been a part of during the past half century. Just to name a few, he's also served at St. Michael's in Flushing, St. Sebastian in Woodside, St. Agatha's in Brooklyn, and Our Lady of Mount Carmel in Astoria. Outside of parish life, Bishop Sanchez has served on a number of diocesan committees, including the Diocesan Liturgical Commission, which provides guidelines to the practice of liturgy in the diocese, and the Diocesan Ministry to Priests. That's not all. Bishop Sanchez has also served as an adjunct professor at St. John's University and at the Seminary of the Immaculate Conception. To the war in Ukraine, Russia is shelling areas in the country where it actually vowed to scale back its offensive. This is video of a suburb outside the capital of Kyiv. You could see the devastation from the new rounds of attacks. This comes after a recent announcement by Russia that it was going to de-escalate its military operations near the capital. UN officials say the assaults have been relentless.
This war is devastating the lives of millions of civilians, not of military forces or other targets.
The United Nations is now reporting that more than 4 million people have fled Ukraine so far. Helping people both leaving Ukraine and those inside is the Catholic Near East Welfare Association, or Kyiv. While the agency isn't on the ground in the country, they have built an impressive network of church organizations that band together to help the people there. Monsignor Peter Vicari is the agency's president. He'll join us later to talk more about the amazing movement to help the people of Ukraine. Meanwhile, gas and grocery prices are still busting budgets here in the U.S., and they won't be coming down anytime soon. In fact, you might have to pay even more for those precious goods in the coming months. Amy Kiley takes a look at a new government forecast and breaks down the numbers.
New federal forecasts show food prices will likely keep climbing. The average cost of gas will stay high or may even rise. The USDA now predicts grocery prices will increase up to 4% throughout this year, and the average cost of dining out could set a new record. That's partly because Ukraine and Russia usually export a lot of the world's wheat and corn.
It will have global context impact beyond anything we've seen since World War II.
And China's new COVID-19 lockdowns are making it hard for supply chains to recover from the pandemic. Oil prices dipped a bit this week. That's after Russia said it would ease up its assault on parts of Ukraine. But
I think we should be clear-eyed about the reality of what's happening on the ground, and no one should be fooled by Russia's announcements.
It's called rockets and feathers, meaning when the price goes up of the price per barrel, that means your gas station price goes up like a rocket. When the price comes down per barrel, the gas station price comes down like a feather.
Prices from the last month demonstrate what she's saying. Here they are for oil and gas. And here's a forecast into next year. U.S. oil producers aren't increasing drilling much to help. CEOs say investor pressure is restraining growth, according to a Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas survey.
Because of gas, we are, as of right now, no, we are definitely not taking our family vacation this year. It'll be more or less a trip to the lake.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Thanks to tips from the public, the NYPD has identified the man suspected of groping a 13-year-old girl inside St. Michael's Catholic Church in Staten Island last week. And as it turns out, he was already arrested by transit police for sexually assaulting a woman on the subway. According to police, the suspect has a history of sexual assault. They say he's been arrested 4 times within the past 5 years on allegations of forcible touching. A father and son duo now being hailed as hometown heroes. They were stabbed trying to save a woman from an attempted robbery outside their pizzeria in Queens. Now Louis Seljovic and his father Charlie are recovering at Elmhurst Hospital. That happens to be the same hospital they donated meals to throughout the pandemic. A GoFundMe page has been launched to help pay for their medical expenses, and the donations will also help pay their staff while the restaurant is closed. And also tonight, calling all artists, any Picassos from 1st grade to 12th. The tablet's Christ is Risen Easter Art Contest is back, and this year it's gone digital. You won't have to drop off your masterpiece at the tablet office anymore. Just get to work creating something that shows that Christ is risen, snap a picture, and upload it to the tablet website. Then it's Judgment Day. The tablet staff will take a look at all the entries, and the winners will receive a cash prize. So how do you do it? Head over to thetablet.org for all the details and an extra incentive. If you win, you just might see your artwork published in an upcoming edition of the newspaper. And if you're not an artist, the tablet also has another initiative you could take part in. The Great COVID Relief Fundraiser is on, so students, ready, set, subscribe. The person who sells the most subscriptions to the tablet will get money back for not only themselves, but for their school. And that's not all. Every new reader you earn for the Brooklyn paper will get you that much closer to this year's grand prize of $3,000. Still not convinced you want to sell the paper or buy a subscription? Well, Monsignor David Casado, the vicar for Catholic schools, wants you.
Listen to me. Look what I got. I got one of these great mascots. I don't know the name, just don't call it Monsignor Dave. And I got to tell you something. It's time to get out there and get the tablet sold. Get those subscriptions out there, boys and girls. It's a great time, and we can do a great thing with this. Listen to me. Get one of these and get a tablet subscription. And we want to be tops. We want to top last year's number. 2,000, we're going to do 3,000. I know it, and it's all up to you, boys and girls. Let's make it happen. Get a subscription to the tablet. $20. What's that? You get back $10. The school gets back $5. The tablet only gets $5. Let's get one of these, and let's make this happen.
All right, just so you know, the name of this little guy is actually TJ. You know, Tablet Junior, TJ, get it? I don't know. He's very cute, and every school has one of these, so you got to get subscribing. Convinced? TJ, I know he sealed the deal, so how do you get involved? For more information on the fundraiser or to subscribe to the paper yourself, just go to thetablet.org. There's a lot more news headed your way. Remembering the devastation of war, Pope Francis greets the Ukrainian children staying in Rome. And the conflict in Europe's breadbasket hitting home in unlikely places, the tough choice Ukrainian farmers now have to make. Plus this.
Ready to go home?
I'm ready for this to be over.
One boy's journey to recovery, how a devastating storm changed his life forever.
There are now some big changes to the tablet website. You can get personalized access to the Catholic news you value. Sign up for free at thetablet.org.
Pope Francis looking to the children affected by the war in Ukraine during his Wednesday general audience. The Holy Father acknowledged a group of Ukrainian kids that are staying in Rome thanks to 2 Italian charities and the Ukrainian embassy to the Holy See. Pope Francis later greeted each child one by one. Some even gave the pontiff drawings and signs with the Ukrainian colors. During his audience, the Pope said the young refugees serve as a gruesome reminder.
Con questo saluto ai bambini anche torniamo a pensare a questa mostruosità della guerra e rinnoviamo le preghiere perché si fermi questa crudeltà selvaggia che è la guerra.
This is the second time the Pope has acknowledged the children of Ukraine. Just last week, he visited sick children who fled the country and are staying at the Vatican's Bambino Gesù Hospital. Catholic agencies have been helping during this humanitarian crisis. The Catholic Near East Welfare Association is one of them. It's donated more than $1 million to help Ukrainian families. Monsignor Peter Vicari, a priest in the Diocese of Brooklyn, is the agency's president. He joins us now. Hi, Monsignor.
Good evening, Christine. Good to be with you.
You too. Now, Monsignor, the Catholic Near East Welfare Association, or CNEWA, has been providing aid to those suffering across the world for nearly 100 years. What are you doing to help people who have been separated from their families, those caught up in human trafficking or even PTSD?
So what we are doing with partners, Caritas, Ukraine, what we are doing through our own connections with the papal nuncios in the surrounding border countries, and especially with the Knights of Columbus, with the various eparchies, because our focus is and our mandate are the Eastern Catholic churches. So the money that you cited really is directed toward the most immediate needs: medicine, food, shelter, already starting with regard to psychosocial counseling, because the experiences, whether for the families in Ukraine or the families who have gone now into Poland and into Slovakia and into Hungary and into Romania, into Moldova, it's so traumatic. And so where we are and where we have connected with those partners that I mentioned, we are now trying to transfer funds so that we can provide the medicine, the food, the shelter, the clothing, or the psychosocial counseling.
How do you ensure that happens, that the money goes to where you want it to go and gets there safely?
Through the communication that we have with the partners that we have, KFC, Caritas Hungary, Caritas Ukraine, the papal nuncios and the various dioceses. The first thing that we had to establish there would be the banking route, so that we knew that the transfer would go safely from our office here to the appropriate institution and in the particular country, whether in Ukraine or, again, as I said, in those bordering countries.
So how would this tragedy compare to others that you do? What makes what's happening in Ukraine different from poverty in other nations and things like that?
Sure. Again, I think that the whole world has become just so immediately conscious of the horrors and of the violence and of the, as you mentioned before, the breakup of families, all that has occurred. Yes, in recent past, in the last year, while we're attending to this situation in Ukraine, we certainly are not neglecting the situations that we have in Beirut and Lebanon, situation that we have in Palestine and in Israel, situation that we're dealing with, particularly with questions of famine in the Horn of Africa, where we are very active through our offices there in Addis in Ethiopia and in Eritrea, and also the work that we do through the work that we're doing in India. And so we're trying to maintain the commitment that we have as Catholic Near East and Pontifical Mission to all of these locations.
All right, Monsignor Peter Vicari, President of the Catholic Near East Welfare Association, thank you for the work that you're doing.
You're welcome, Christine. Thank you.
You can donate to Kanewa's cause by going to their website, cnewa.org. Right on their homepage, you'll see a War in Ukraine graphic, and if you click on that and follow the prompts, you can help them in their efforts there. A pro-life bell blessed by the Holy Father has arrived in Ukraine. The Voice of Life bell was sent to the city of Lviv in recognition of the beauty of human life amid Russia's invasion of the country. It's part of an initiative by the Polish Yes to Life Foundation, which looks to advocate for human life from conception until natural death. The bell will continue to travel among Ukrainian parishes in order to promote a culture of life. It's another unfortunate effect of the Russian invasion. The world's food supply is being impacted because some of Ukraine's vital crops are now in jeopardy. Hala Garani reports from a farm in Lviv, which, like many across the country, is working hard to keep its citizens and the rest of the world fed.
On this farm in western Ukraine, and many like it across this country, the future of food security for hundreds of millions of people around the world is being determined. 1/3 of the world's most fertile soil is in Ukraine, according to the UN. So what doesn't grow here, or what this country is unable to export because of the war, local officials tell me will cause ripple effects around the globe. The repercussions of the war in Ukraine began to impact everything, Volodymyr Romaniak tells me, including all agricultural operations inside and outside the country, including the sowing season. The most productive farms lie in the hottest conflict areas of the country. And the Ukrainian agriculture minister tells me the impact on this year's crops will be devastating.
Last season, we have approximately totally 110 million tons. This year, we expect at least 30% less than this amount.
This is already impacting food prices for everyone, but most acutely for people in vulnerable countries. In 2020, 80% of Lebanon's wheat imports came from Ukraine alone, 40% of Libya's, 30% of Egypt's wheat came from Ukraine last year, and now bakery prices there are jumping as high as 25%. Ukraine is known as the breadbasket of Europe. And so a war on this country is also an attack on all those who depend on it for food. Hala Gorani, Lviv, Ukraine.
Still to come on Currents News, peaceful cooperation between the U.S. and Russia. Astronauts from both countries return to Earth after a record-breaking trip to space. Plus, a boy on a journey of his own, how his family and friends have helped him recover from a terrible injury. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number, 718-517-3122. We'll be right back.
Touchdown.
The remarkable return after spending a year on the International Space Station. U.S. astronaut Mark Vande Hei has landed safely on Earth together with his two Russian counterparts. And while many feared the tensions between Moscow and Washington would threaten operations in space, the station was in fact one of the few areas where Russia and the West got along. Just moments before their return to Earth, one of the Russian cosmonauts applauded the bonds they've made, saying, "On Earth, people have problems. On orbit, we are one crew."
You're not making this look hard.
No, it's because I can't lock my knees out, so it makes it easier.
A teenage boy now on the road to recovery after a devastating tornado tore through his home last December, damaging his spine and leaving him paralyzed. This past week, 14-year-old Kyle Cohn was able to walk out of the hospital in St. Louis, Missouri. It's a recovery his family and friends are calling a miracle. As Mike Bush reports, with the right people on your side, even the darkest clouds can have a silver lining.
We'll go 5 minutes like this and then I'll slow it down.
Sometimes the best medicine is movement.
Ready to go home?
I'm ready for this to be over.
14-year-old Kyle Cohn is on a journey to recovery here at Rankin Jordan Pediatric Bridge Hospital.
Okay, 1 more minute, then we're going no hands.
He had a fracture that involved every vertebrae in his back.
We'll do 2 minutes and then you can hold on again, okay?
And his rehabilitation has been the light
Good.
after the storm. It all began last December when the devastating Quad State tornado was causing destruction over 200 miles across 4 states.
I dove for the hall and no more and sat down and heard the house start splintering, and that's the last we remember until we woke up in the field.
Most of the Cohn family was propelled 180 feet from their house. Kyle, a few yards away.
I don't remember the pain so much. I just remember it was cold and it was wet.
2 weeks after the tornado, Kyle was admitted to Rankin Jordan.
You're not making this look hard.
When healing is the most important thing, then attitude is everything.
We knew that this was a kid who's going to fight hard.
Catch your balance.
Rankin's mission is to transition kids from the hospital to home.
Good job. 1 more time.
And Kyle devoted himself to his therapy sessions.
This side easier.
He turned I wish into I will.
They'll make you do stuff that you think is really hard, but they'll make you do it.
After weeks of never giving up, Kyle's friends and family are picking him up. His school chartered a bus from Tennessee to bring him home because today he's being discharged. It still might be a while until he's doing everything he used to do, but here's one young man showing us all that with the right help, you can take healing by storm.
Incredible. That was Mike Bush reporting. In addition to his friends and family, Kyle says he is forever grateful to all the doctors and therapists who have supported him throughout the recovery process. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.